Welcome to Let's Chat Finance Season 2 by Homebuyer Centre. Here are some snippets from the episode.
It's definitely smarter for them to act now. If you're in the state of mind where you are ready to take the step at looking at getting into your first home, don't wait.
It definitely accelerates their decision making for sure. Again, most still consider that they need to, again, media-led or even from, parents, etc. They still think they need the 20%. That's not true.
You're right that it's very out of sight, out of mind. I feel like it's the easiest loan I've ever gotten. So yeah, it can be really hard if you've not considered it before and all of a sudden it's impacting how much you can borrow. Welcome back to Let's Chat Finance by Homebuyer Centre. I'm your host Tash and I'm here with Tyler Locke from Homebuyer Centre Victoria.
Good to be back, Tash.
And Chris Cummins from Resolve Finance.
Thanks for having us, Tash.
Today we're unpacking government policy and what it can mean for first home buyers. Chris, we'll start with you. What's actually changing?
There's a couple of key things that are changing. So from the 1st of October, there is changes to the home guarantee scheme, in particular around the first home guarantee scheme. The big changes in that particular space are the removal of the income caps. So the previous income caps were quite restrictive. It meant that potentially couples that exceeded 200,000 or an individual that exceeded 125,000 per year were completely knocked out. So they couldn't get into market.
Let's go back a little bit. What actually is it?
The scheme itself?
Yeah.
It's basically a federal government initiative that allows the buyer to get in from around 5%. So it's 5% in that they need to actually contribute. The government will then cover, and which removes the lending mortgage insurance, covers the 15%.
Yeah, so you don't need your parents to do it.
You don't need
can
the parents to actually assist at all. So yeah, so if you could get in for 5%, then you're on your way, as long as you meet the banking eligibility. And there's a broad banking panel that sits in behind it as well.
So you get to buy a home with a 5% deposit. The government guarantees the 15%, so you don't need to pay for LMI.
No LMI.
And you don't need a parental guarantor.
No gifts or anything along those lines. So it's all your 5% only going in and you're off and running.
And what are the changes? There's 3 of them, isn't there?
There's a couple of key changes. One is around the income caps have been removed. The other one is then also around the property caps have increased, both in WA and Western Australia. So they've actually been exceptionally increased now. And the other one is that the spots per year have actually been removed as well. So they actually capped it at previously 35,000. It's unlimited now.
So a lot more people are eligible now.
Yeah, 100%.
Tyler, what did you think when you heard these schemes and what are people that you're talking to thinking about them? Are they skeptical? Are they excited?
A bit of column A, a bit of column B. So with these schemes, they're awesome and they're a big help. However, I think when people first hear about them, particularly if they're not fully informed of what's happening in property and these schemes up front, it can be a little bit confusing. Maybe they would feel a little bit skeptical because there's a lot of big terms getting thrown around and a lot of big words.
The same. Like when you hear first home super saver, first home guarantee scheme, first homeowners grant, they all sound quite similar.
Exactly, which is why it's really important for an expert like the team at Resolve Finance to explain this to people and coach them through which scheme might be best for them. And once they understand it, they're not too difficult to get your head around once you have it explained properly. And then that skepticism or that confusion will often lead to confidence and then a bit more of a willingness to move forward.
Yeah, I really love the first home guarantee one because it kind of makes it a bit more, it brings back the equity. If you don't have the parents who can guarantee your home loan for you, it's a bit unfair. If you used to have to pay LMI, but now there's a way for people to get the government to guarantee it, which is really awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
Chris, who do you think will benefit from this the most? Do you think it'll be young professionals, families, singles?
I think if you're a first home buyer, regardless whether you're a single, couple, etc., you'll be the biggest benefit of that particular scheme. That said, there is other components to that scheme that and depending on your criteria and eligibility for the scheme, that if you haven't owned a home in greater than 10 years, you could be eligible for that same scheme.
Wow, I didn't know that. Very exciting. It's always good to talk to a mortgage broker then 100%. So they can find all the criteria. Something else I've heard a lot more about is help debt and it being unfair that the banks used to consider your help debt or maybe still do. What's happening with that?
There's been a couple of changes in that space. There's been the announcement that the government is actually dropping the debt by 20%.
Yes, I'm very excited.
Yeah, that's very exciting.
I've still got a little bit of mine.
Yeah, my daughter's very excited about that too, being a nurse. So that will actually then naturally help with the impact on serviceability, because if there's a less of debt that's calculated, that will actually mean that that could actually be contributed to either paying it down quicker or alternatively actually seeking a higher borrowing capacity if you're looking at a home buyer.
How does your HEX debt actually impact your borrowing capacity?
Good question. It's treated very similar or in a way to any other sort of debt, but the debt itself is based on what your income levels are. So your HEX, there's a HEX threshold. And if the customer actually exceeds the HEX threshold, there's a mandatory repayment amount that needs to be made. That mandatory repayment amount is deducted out of your gross income. So that would actually leads to a customer being potentially impacted on how much they can borrow.
I've heard some banks are now excluding your HEX repayments from your borrowing capacity. Is
Spot
that true?
on. Yeah. So, and again, there's elements to it where it's not in every scenario, but if you're close to actually clearing the HEX debt, or it's a lower amount, the banks will look at it, particularly if it's under sort of a 12-month range to actually clearing it. They will actually potentially ignore the repayment completely, which then helps you get into market a bit quicker.
Very exciting. Tyler, have you come across many first home buyers who are shocked by how much their HEX debt actually reduces their borrowing capacity?
Yeah, a lot of them are surprised. I think for the HEX help debt, for a lot of people, it is a little bit out of sight, out of mind. It's not necessarily there when you go into your bank statement or go into your banking app. It's not sitting there like potentially some other loans might be. And therefore, once they get their borrowing capacity assessed and understand that it impacts them in purchasing their first home, there's a bit of frustration sometimes, which is totally understandable. So yeah, these changes, the government knocking 20% off, this is all going to help those people and potentially put that volume of debt payment within reach to pay off quicker and assist with their borrowing capacity.
You're right that it's very out of sight, out of mind. I feel like it's the easiest loan I've ever gotten. Like I magically got it somehow by ticking a box at uni. Whereas when you get a home loan, you've got to sign many, many, many documents and it's not an accident at all. So yeah, it can be really hard if you've not considered it before and all of a sudden it's impacting how much you can borrow.
Absolutely.
Tyler, do you see buyers waiting it out for some of these things to come into effect or just waiting to see what the government will do in the future? Or is it actually smarter for them to act now?
It's definitely smarter for them to act now. And I feel like most people are, which is great to see. If you're in that state of mind, this is sort of what I would say all the time. If you're in the state of mind where you are ready to take the step at looking at getting into your first home, don't wait. At least take the steps to get the right information that you need. So when the right opportunity comes up for you or the right scheme becomes available, you're ready to go straight away. Definitely don't sit on your hands and wait.
Yeah, I like to say that I always get asked, what's the best time to buy? Should I buy this year? Should I buy next year? Should I wait? Should I not? Should I buy in this market or not? But I think the best time to buy is when you're ready. Unfortunately, not when the best time in the market, because we'll never know when that will be.
Yeah, totally agree. So definitely get yourself ready so that you're in the right position.
It's a really good point, only because it's about getting finance fit before you're ready to actually approach the lender. So engaging the right professionals, be that broker, accountant, etc., is about making sure you've got that right team around you so you're prepped, ready to go.
Yeah, remembering what you can control. So you can control your income to a certain degree, you can control your spending, how much you're budgeting, but you can never control what the government is doing or what the markets are doing outside of that. Do you have an example, Chris, of how someone has used a policy to their advantage?
Yeah, actually I do. My own son. Yeah, so he actually has bought through home buyers. And again, great example, military, a couple of years out now, casual wage, a partner in middle corporate management role. They didn't think that they could actually go down the approach at all, and that they've actually, after meeting with a broker, a resolved broker, have actually found that pathway, and the pathway was through using the scheme.
Amazing. I know you don't have a crystal ball, but what do you think is on the horizon for the housing market and what do you think the government should be doing?
What I think they should be doing is focusing on supply policy. So what I mean by that is, continue to make it easier for developers and builders to deliver more housing supply. These schemes are fantastic and we absolutely want them to continue. Like helping first home buyers build or get into their first home is super important, but it also potentially increases the demand for new housing, which isn't great for affordability. So let's also make sure we've got policies around increasing supply as well. And that's going to help people longer term.
Tyler, what's the role that you play in helping people navigate these schemes and their eligibility?
Yeah, so our new home consultants would help buyers navigate the schemes by partnering with a finance broker to give them the specific expert information that they need around the schemes. And then once we know which scheme is going to assist that buyer, is putting them on the right path to match it with the right home and land option. So with the home, the land and the finance all working together, we can help them get into their first home.
Do you have many people asking you about the schemes and if they're eligible?
Yeah, absolutely. And whilst we've got a fairly good idea of how they all work, I absolutely recommend working with a finance broker to get the expert opinion and the expert advice on that. But yeah, we do get asked quite a lot.
Chris, do you have any last tips for first home buyers who are looking to use these schemes to get into the market?
Yeah, I think the major one for me, it's all about simplicity. I think it's about making sure they've got the right team of experts around them. So definitely engage a broker up front to determine what your individual scenario is. Ignore the media noise and determine what your own personal situation is. That's my number one tip around it.
Definitely. Yep. See a broker. That's come up so much. See
100%.
A broker. You guys seem to promote each other quite a bit. It seems like you're great friends, which is amazing. But are there any referrals? What's the relationship like between Homebuyer Centre and Resolve?
Yeah, I'll start. So for Homebuyer Centre, the reason that we refer to Resolve is all about the customer experience. So we've got a proven track record and a relationship between both businesses where we know, particularly with first home buyers, if we refer them over to Resolve, that Resolve are going to deliver a great customer outcome almost all of the time. So that's the most important thing for us. But it probably is worth noting that we do both fall under the same umbrella of the ABN group. Anything to add from you, Chris?
Fundamentally, their team 100% believe in the brokers that we've got. Because we're all on the same journey where it's all about actually focusing on that customer journey, make sure the customer gets into the property in that dream of home ownership.
And probably worth noting that a customer of each business, whether it's Homebuyer Centre or Resolve, absolutely don't have to deal with the other business. So if you are building through Homebuyer Centre, you don't have to go through Resolve Finance. We obviously recommend it for a variety of reasons, but people have their own choice of which path they want to go down from a finance perspective.
And you should be using us anyway. We've been doing this since 1997. So we do know a thing or two about construction finance.
Amazing. But it's open, so you can go and see any broker that you would like.
You
100%.
can.
We have covered so much in today's episode. We've spoken all about the government schemes, the changes, and how HECS and help debt might affect your borrowing capacity. Thank you so much, Tyler and Chris, for joining us.
Thanks, Tash.
Thanks, Tash. It was great to chat.
Up next, we're going to talk all things location, and we've got a very special guest from Stockland joining us to talk all about infrastructure and livability. This information does not consider your personal needs and financial circumstances, and you should consider whether it is appropriate for you. Lender terms and conditions apply and may vary. All financial services provided by Resolve Financial Solutions Pty Ltd, trading as Resolve Finance, ABN 65079545378. Australian credit license number 385487. The building practitioner is ABN Group Pty Ltd, trading as Homebuyer Centre